everybody, welcome on back. It's Rubbin is Racing. It's brought to you by NASCAR. Next up for NASCAR is the Worth 400 NASCAR Cup Series race at Dover Motor Speedway. It's going to come to you at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, April 30th. You can catch all the action on FS1. Spider and I were just down in Talladega, and from what I understand, what we thought was a great party just continues into next week. Dover's supposed to be a hell of a place to go see a race. So go check it out. It's the Worth 400. It's going to start at 2 p.m. on Sunday. You can catch all the action on FS1. All right, this is Rubbin is Racing, and we're back. And we're no worse for wear. The whole crew, except for Lib Quiggs, was out at Talladega. We got Liam on the ones and twos, Spider to my immediate right. Quiggs is going to join us in a little bit. And I got to tell you, Talladega is a scene. It's a party that happens to have a race running around it every now and again. I've never seen anything like it in my life. It was 100% the most southern thing I've ever been a part of, and I fucking loved it.
It's country Coachella. That's what I would call it. It was a music festival and combined with a race for like southern folk that enjoy country music, being outside, nice weather, racing cars, drinking beer, etc.
I think, one of the things that we can provide here is Rubbin is Racing is we try to throw out some picks. We try to talk about some races. But, I think the historical perspective from us gets a little bit lost, right? And, people will tell you that. What we can provide for you this week is that if you have a favorite driver, there's a good chance Spider and I had some beers with him. And I'm going to tell you about every fucking one of them that we met. Because I thought that the exposure that we got again this weekend from NASCAR, shout out NASCAR, was absolutely outstanding. We flew in on Friday. The crew of us flew in on Friday, and we drove from Atlanta to Talladega. If you guys are thinking about making the trip next year, you can fly to Birmingham. I think it's only about an hour from Birmingham. It's a solid 2 hours from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Solid 2 hours. And by the way, do not pull off I-20 into some McDonald's, because we went to the worst McDonald's that ever fucking existed.
It's also 3 hours if you're driving Nick Fasoli.
Yeah, exactly, Fasoli. We were lucky enough to have Dana Beers come with us. He had a great time. Dana, just great guy, and his cameraman Fasoli was the butt of a couple of jokes throughout the weekend. We rolled into McDonald's, and it changed the definition of fast food, because whatever we ordered took, 35 minutes.
Also, I love... Not to keep bragging on Fasoli, who's been a good sport about the jokes. Yeah. Him and Dana Beers kept reminding us that they weren't eating fast food all weekend.
Right.
Their body was a temple.
Yeah.
The first stop you made, as we said, was to McDonald's, and Nick joined us for lunch. So
de facto McDonald's. We pulled off because we wanted to try this place, Jack's. I've never been to Jack's, and I thought if it was going to give me an experience like I had the first time I went to a cookout down in, I don't know where the hell I went to a cookout, but I think in Alabama. I don't know, but there's cookout places. You ever been to?
Yeah, they're unbelievable.
They're fucking elite. So I was expecting the same experience from Jack's. I didn't get to have it. I know you guys had gone later on the weekend.
Jack's was elite.
Jack's was great.
Yeah, it was very good.
You were more Liam. You were more fond of it than Spider.
I thought it was good. They had some unique items on the menu that I thought we don't really see that up here. I feel like
it was also just compared to up here. Like the owner of that, or the manager who was there, like came over and brought us out shit and was like, I want you to try this. Which
really?
Up here, you get fucking screamed at McDonald's or wherever you go.
We were with Alex Bennett, who when we walked in, the guy had recognized Alex. He said, "Are you Alexis from Instagram?"
Yeah.
And then from that point, it was extreme Southern hospitality.
Right.
He brought us over samples of breakfast items that were meant to be stopped serving 2 hours ago. So they really gave us the hospitality.
I would tell you right now, that's going to be the complexion of this episode, bros being bros, because we had a time, and I neglected to mention Alex Bennett was down there with us. Kelsey, who you guys don't know, is one of the handlers
Our
here.
chaperone.
Yeah, she had moved to Florida, so we don't get to see Kelsey as much, and she was awesome having her down there. Obviously, MB was down there. All the people from NASCAR, Patrick,
Morgan and Raquel, took care of us per usual.
My son was down there.
How was that? Large had his son with us.
Yeah, I would say that collectively, the whole crew that was down in Talladega this weekend had what they call a time. I'm not saying it was a vibe. I'm not going that way or anything like that, but I'm telling you, we all had a time. Friday we land. We get to Talladega finally. The Holiday Inn in Talladega in the shadow of the Talladega Walmart was mwah. I had no complaints at all.
It actually was great.
Yeah, I mean the toilet was low. It was like shitting in a fucking teapot. But otherwise, I thought that it was an okay hotel.
Spider, what was the receptionist name?
Oh, I've somehow forgotten.
Leanne?
Leanne, I believe.
Leanne
yeah.
or something?
Yeah, she reminded us her name 100 times. But anyways, also, fun fact about the hotel.
Please.
Across my room were the Garage Guys. So shout out Garage Guys. I was just going out downstairs to meet you, actually.
Yeah.
And on my way back up, I saw them in the hallway, and I ended up in there blow-drying Dale's hair. So
Okay.
yeah,
We're not going to give those guys too much shine because they come back into the story on Sunday.
That's right.
Because we got to spend the end of the race, fuck the garage. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, exactly. Chase had to leave early, I think, because he was doing some family time. We're lucky enough that Dale and Tony stayed through Sunday. We'll get to that in a sec. Friday night, probably the highlight for me maybe was the parade. They'd asked Spider and I to go on a float along with, I think, like 10 drivers. So it was 10 drivers plus me and Spider. That's it. That's actually not it. There was a bar with 2 smoke show waitresses who were serving shots to me.
Yep.
Right? Nobody else was doing. Oh, Alex Bennett was on
Yep.
there. I apologize. Alex was on with Spider and I. And there was a DJ who was cutting them up. And he's the second best DJ that we saw this weekend. And the first one, obviously, was Slim McGraw.
Slim McGraw
Yeah,
rocked.
and the third best was Massardo or something that I saw in Tuscaloosa. So we go up on the thing. First of all, we get to where the float is. We don't know what drivers we're going to see. It wound up being nothing but familiar faces.
I was so overwhelmed. If
Yeah.
you watch the clip back, hand up, I forgot Zane Smith's name in real time. And that's like a week after we had him on the show. So, Zane, my sincere apologies. But yeah.
All right, we're live here at Talladega. It's the big one on the boulevard. We got the full cast of characters. Chase Briscoe, Cole Custer, Austin Cindric, Tyler Reddick, Riley Herbst, Zane Smith, Large, Rubbin is racing. We're getting on the float. Anthony Alfredo, BJ McLeod. Who am I missing? Everyone's here.
Every driver I felt like we've ever spoken with on this show, as well as a few we hadn't yet, but we did after that float ride. It was unbelievable.
Can we get a compilation so far of Anthony Logano instead of Joey Logano? Can we get a Frankie Muloles or whatever the hell I did, and then you flubbing on Zane Smith? We know.
I went like this down the line. And then I got to Zane Smith, and I was like, fuck, I'm going to come back to you. Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, and we're drinking. In
Yeah,
our
yeah,
defense,
yeah.
we're drinking. But like you said, so Cole Custer, who's a friend of the show. I love Cole Custer. I can't wait till he fucking kicks in and starts kicking ass in the Xfinity Series. Tyler Reddick, who actually got engaged that weekend.
Yeah, congrats to Tyler
Yeah,
Reddick.
About time. Absolutely. It was smoke show of a girlfriend, now fiance. They got a beautiful kid together. It's good for him. Bonk?
Bonk.
Okay.
You missed that one.
Yeah.
I'll let it slide.
But Tyler, we're lucky enough to meet his wife a couple times, including my wife and his wife hanging out last year at the NASCAR Awards down in Nashville. Clint Boyer, whose job I took Dave's job, you took Clint's job.
Either one, I'm
No,
cool with
you
taking.
took Clint Boyer's job. So Clint had said that he's going to come on the show at some point. He's really he's kind of transferred into that game show hosty type thing pretty well. He really enjoys that role now.
I think he crushes it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like the perfect level of party meets like professionalism.
Right.
Even on Friday night after the float ride, he was calling me up, inviting me to come link with him and the drivers. So
Yeah, you
I
sold
mean,
us all down the river on that. So if you guys want to know what it's like to hang out with these dudes, if I ever got into a fight in a NASCAR setting and I had one driver that I had to ask to have my back, hey, listen, driver, come. I got to go kick these 2 guys' asses. I didn't know this before this weekend, but now 100% with a bullet, it's BJ McLeod. No, you're going to say the other guy. I'm going to let you get to it. Right? I know there's 2 answers, and both of them were on the float.
Okay.
Right? Both
I'll
of them
hear
were on
you
the
out.
float.
Go on.
BJ McLeod, he's an interesting dude, man. He looks like he could fuck people up. And you're going to say,
I'm going to say Jeffrey Earnhardt,
Right?
who was a former MMA fighter
Yes.
who was also unbelievable to rub shoulders with. But before I finish, I'm also going to say hashtag get loud for McLeod. I think it would be
100%.
lit if we can get BJ McLeod in the NASCAR All-Star race. Let's get loud for McLeod.
And I gave him a hello and a goodbye, but that guy seems like one of more he's got like a Sheldon Creed type feel for me. You know what I mean? So I'm a big BJ McLeod stan, perhaps a simp. But Jeffrey Earnhardt, we were hanging out with him too. MMA guy has done some sort of jiu-jitsu, I think he said he would throw his hat in the ring and maybe fight in a rough and rowdy. And then I would ref the fight that he does.
I mean,
licensed referee.
Large, how lit would a rough and rowdy be at Talladega?
Oh, man.
We had like a pillow fight.
Fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
I would say Josh Williams too.
Oh, Josh
Personally.
Williams
Oh,
is
Josh
He went up-
Williams.
yeah, he
So
would-
Josh Williams, one of the other guys there, and again, that guy. As soon as he saw us, listen, we've spoken to a lot of these guys for a grand total of 10 minutes during media, car washes where they've had to speak to so many other people, but they're all extremely gracious in coming over, even if they don't remember your name or whatever, and spending time with you. Josh Williams is that guy.
Josh Williams
He's a
is
dude.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's
I
a
had a lot
dude.
of fun hanging out
Josh
with him on the
Williams and
float.
BJ McLeod and Jeffrey Earnhardt. I put those three guys up against any other three guys fighting in fucking NASCAR.
And then Riley Herbst and Zane Smith's
Oh,
friendship that
hold
dates
on a
back like
second.
2 decades.
Fucking Spider, if you're going to talk about me trying to get in or be friends with certain
Oh, yeah,
people.
yeah.
So there's a baby picture of Riley Herbst, Zane Smith, and Noah Gragson. And at one point, Spider said, "Can we recreate that picture? But can I get in it also?" I think you took Noah's
Yeah,
place.
yeah. Well, Noah wasn't on the float.
Yeah, and Noah was all over.
Noah was the hardest working man this whole weekend, so I'll talk about
Yeah,
that in a bit.
But so Riley Herbst and Zane Smith were there, and again, both very, very nice guy. We've talked to Riley not on the show, but multiple times in the garages. Always very, very gracious with us. So Spider jumped into Noah's spot in the baby picture, wanting to get in there for the next birthday party, I guess.
we're gonna have
Yeah. So we do the thing where they go down the boulevard in the float, and we have 2,000 hand towels and 5,000 sets of beads that the drivers and us were throwing out to the NASCAR fans. And as I'm sitting there, Clint Boyer goes, Large, if you were here 10 years ago, it was all just women pulling their tops off, like,
we still
Bourbon
saw
Street.
a couple titties.
I gave a woman a box of, a full box of beads to put her top back on. I mean, she looked like a fucking pile of laundry. I didn't know where she started and ended. I was like, oh, Jesus. So I didn't see anything that I would like to put, back into the bank to take a look at later. And I can't get this other one burned out of my fucking mind. But it was great. It ended at like almost like a Jello fighting type place. That's when Mamba showed up, our
Yep.
good guy Mamba. Who you call it? Alex Bennett got fucking rocked in a pillow fight by some dude who was on his bachelor party.
How was that sanctioned?
I don't know.
So it went before the guy who ended up winning it. He faced Alex, and he was like taking it easy, whatever.
Yeah.
Like took a dive, and then they brought up another guy who just absolutely fucking rocked her.
He came over to me.
Like
Alex
one
was
hit
the
smoked her.
pillows were filled with talcum powder that also had like a glitter in them. So when he hit her, it looked like she got fucking horse pounded by a pixie, and he came over to me. He's like, Large, his friends were like, did you see what my boy did? That's a hate crime. He's like, Large, she said, go full speed. Don't take it easy on me. So I fucking yoked her.
Credit to Alex. She wanted the full experience.
100%. She was, she got it too. So my thing is that, as is normally the case with NASCAR, and maybe, there are exceptions, like Sonoma seems so much more corporate and whatnot. We had a wonderful time, even before we got to the boulevard in earnest. And then once we got to the boulevard, things got better. We'd met an NYPD firehouse. Yeah, FDNY. FDNY, I think it was Engine 23, the Lions Den, you'd say?
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys were up here in Midtown Manhattan. We had a bunch of drinks with them. Shout out. They were fucking wonderful.
Great to see like other New Yorkers
Yeah.
making it down to the race. I'm sure they're not the only ones, but they were obviously wearing FDNY merch, so they stood out.
They were the ones throwing T-shirts onto the float.
Yeah.
Well, we were throwing stuff out, like to the drivers, the one guy who was wearing a bathrobe for most of the Friday, he'd been coming out for like 20 years. So he had rented a pretty pimped out RV with a bunch of the firehouse guys.
Sean and
FDNY.
Brad, two kings.
Yeah,
New York's
absolute
finest.
kings. I had gone and done a shot with somebody. Alex had asked me to come over because some guy was, looking to, bang her. And so she came over and she's like, Law, just pretend to be my dad. And, so I came over and he's like, you're her dad? I was like, yeah. He's like, I don't mean to be disrespectful to your daughter. I would love to take her out on a date. I said, let me think about it. So his friends all poured me a shot. They were like, it's your first time here. So they put the rookie sticker on my back. They took a piece of duct tape, wrote rookie. With my consent. I didn't give them consent to spend time with my daughter, and Alex and I were able to walk away safely. But because I had the rookie sticker on my back, people were buying me shots the whole night on the thing. It worked out well for me. Frisoli was taking pictures of me, like they put like a kick me sign on me. But yeah, we're going to shit on a guy named Frisoli a couple of times. What else? What else we see on there?
Friday was just incredible. I think it was great to see, to rub shoulders with, I felt like a lot of the NASCAR's future drivers between those guys we named.
Yeah, and Wendy's had a huge activation right off the boulevard where they set up an old school arcade, pinball machines, all the old school games, and then next to it was a pop-up Wendy's where they were just giving out biggie bags.
Yeah, the biggie bags were clutch.
Yeah.
Waking up hungover, they had the biggie bags for us right in the infield. I also loved how they had Wendy's. They had Noah's car, so Noah ran the Wendy's scheme this week, but they had a replica of the design in front of their activation, so it was really cool.
Gregson was a great, for me, seeing how these guys represent their brands. Like some of them will just grab a Coke afterwards, Coke drivers, and they'll make sure that they do that. Gregson was a great a symbol of Wendy's this whole weekend. He made sure he was out there with everybody. He was in a wheelchair, like doing fucking donuts, and he was going above and beyond to try to be out there with the fans and push the Wendy's brand. I was pretty impressed by the kid, to be honest with you.
He's as good as an ambassador as you could want for your brand, I think.
Yeah, I felt like since he's the rookie, I felt like a lot of the little kids that I saw were like all wearing his shit and like wanted to go up and take a picture with him.
Even like the young generation, or like, I don't know, people our age or younger, I feel like tend to gravitate towards drivers like Noah. So he does a great job for branding himself.
No, definitely does.
And I didn't, and he wasn't drinking or anything like that. And I say that because a lot of the Cup Series drivers, like Austin Cindric was on the float with us. I don't think I had mentioned him. Like these guys aren't driving till Sunday. So we're in the float with us on Friday. They can have a couple of beers.
Yeah.
I think Tyler Reddick had a couple of, perhaps Monster has
the
maybe.
Beast. He had the Beast.
The alcohol one? Yeah, so
I believe
Tyler
it was
Reddick.
6%. I do want to say, while we're snitching on people, let the record show that Chase Briscoe was drinking Sprites.
Chase Briscoe is on there. He'd just come off the finger operation. Oh, nobody got out of hand by any. Yeah, there's no tea.
Well, I got out of hand.
Yes, we got out of hand. Yeah, we did. Absolutely. Each one of us got out of hand at different points of the weekend, but none of the drivers were stupid enough to get themselves out of hand anywhere on the boulevard, which is also kind of cool to see, because I don't think it was like that back in the 80s.
Yeah.
I think there was some fucking fist fights. I will tell you about one. There's some fat bag of milk who sets up this stand, and the stand says Kyle Busch is a douchebag. And this dude just sits there with a microphone and complains about Kyle Busch. And maybe that has less steam as Kyle gets to be less and less demonized as he gets older. But even when he took a picture with us, he's like, I smell Yankee. And I was like, I smell a lot fucking worse, Jabba. Right? Like that guy.
Talk your shit.
Yeah, I think his sister was the one that took her top off when we were doing the parade. So that guy can go eat a dick. Another thing that we had seen as we're going down the and I know you experienced it too, dozens of people were coming over to us appreciative of what we're doing here. And we're not like guys to try not to read too many comments, because there's so many old heads here who like get more people that have been involved with the sport. That's not what NASCAR wants to do. They want people who haven't been involved with the sport for that long, getting people who aren't involved in the sport into the sport. Because if we don't do that, this great sport is going to die. And Liam, who's probably the newest one of us all to it, walked away saying, I want to go back to Talladega every year. That's the fucking thing, man. I'm now upset that we're not going to Dover, just hearing about how Dover is, and my liver told me I wasn't allowed to go. But so next year I'm going to try to get to Dover because we could drive there. So as we're falling in love with this, people are noticing it and coming over to us on the boulevard. Man, I haven't gotten blood flow like that in a long time. That was a good feel.
We're trying to bring NASCAR north, and I think Talladega is a great entry point. I don't know, we saw how many people did we meet, bachelor parties or the FDNY guys, like first timers enjoying themselves.
I'm a beacon, so you can't miss me. I'm a thumb, so and then all of a sudden Spider is there. Like I'm just saying, size wise.
Spider buzzes around though, so you kind of can't miss him too.
Although I'll tell you what, we go to get on the float. This is a small story. We go to get on the float after the 10 drivers, and then I'm in line afterwards. It was an A-frame ladder. You climb up the ladder and you jump onto this float. It was a flatbed truck. the security guard goes, no, you guys can walk. I was like, what? He's like, you can walk. I was like, all right, I'm not going to walk. I'm not going to follow a fucking float. He's like, it doesn't matter to me, he said. Like something like that.
He said drivers only.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, whatever, I'll walk.
Yeah, and then he turned to the other guy and he said, listen, nobody else on this float except for the 2 Barstool guys. I was like, excuse me, did you just say the 2 Barstool guys? He's like, yeah, only Large and Spider are going to be on with the drivers, he said. I said, we're Large and Spider. He's like, which one are you? I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Which one are you? Were dressed all in black and you're kind of fuzzy. Yep. And then I'm, so then he's like, I'm so sorry. You don't know how many people do try to jump on that, which is going to be kind of the twisted history fucking story from this year, this week. That, there's a lot of like shadiness, people trying to get to where they shouldn't be. But either way, shout out to Joey Logano's guy who we met.
Mike Foley.
What a nice fucking dude.
I sniped him on the boulevard.
Yeah, you did.
And then I ran over and said hello. But yeah, he's the one who smoothed things over with Joey and Rubbin. So
yeah,
big fan of his.
And I'll give Spider one more kudo. I'm going to try to shit on him later on. Nobody has better driver eye than Spider. These guys.
Who did I snipe?
Anybody.
Oh, okay.
Like all of a sudden, it's like I think Harrison Burton was on like a golf cart going by. That's Harrison Burton. And I was like, no, it's not. You're like, Harrison. He turns around. You know what I mean? Like Austin Cindric in street clothes doesn't necessarily look like Austin Cindric.
Yeah.
And, like you got everyone, you get somebody. So that was Friday night. Saturday, I went to Tuscaloosa to see a Croatian DJ that my son's frat had flown in from Madrid. And so I was at the Pike House. Most beautiful people I've ever seen. Most beautiful
sounds like
people.
We're at the Pike House right now.
Someone's
partying outside.
There's a little, I'm going on. But I had a fantastic time. My son Mick is a freshman in Alabama. He's a Pike guy. And the cops shut it down pretty soon. So this dude who Pike paid tens of thousands of dollars to never got to perform. And this DJ, whose name I should probably know, had said, listen, I'm not going to just leave you guys in a lurch. And he could have. He could have just left. He's like, his name is Matroda. He's like, I'll do a private show. You just got to get me someplace that has this kind of, hookup for his thing. So the guy's like, yeah, we could do it at a 7th Street apartment or something. So he did a show for 30 people. And he just, brought the apartment down as opposed to the house down. And we had a time, and then we drove back afterwards. So I got back to Talladega at 3 a.m. on Sunday with my son. And I met you guys down in the lobby at 8 o'clock. But you were there Saturday for the festivities.
I mean, you're a warrior for doing that on Saturday.
different.
But I'm glad you could recruit your son to join us for Sunday. But Saturday was unbelievable at the track. I mean, Frankie Muniz, first of all, taking the ARCA points lead. He got a top 10. Another dude, I mean, him and Noah Gregson, I can't say enough good things about in terms of their accessibility and willingness to hang out with their fans. Right. Both those guys couldn't have been more available at the Wendy's activation there. And Frankie Muniz now leads ARCA in points. So really impressed with him. But also the Xfinity race on Saturday was unbelievable. They're crazy wrecks. I mean, not that that's something to be, writing home about.
Everybody was safe.
Everyone was safe. So it was really a testament to just how different, in my opinion, the Xfinity cars are or the races are from the Cup Series, because it seemed on Sunday that everyone was a little bit more reserved, whereas the Xfinity guys were just going hard, which was unbelievable. So Saturday for the Xfinity race, we watched from atop Steve's platform, who's a good friend of NASCAR. He was gracious enough to bring us over. We're right in turn 3, I think, watching over. It was so sweet. But yeah, we watched Xfinity, and then following that, I was super impressed by the fact that no one left the track. The race ended, 2 hours went by probably, and then the sunset, Cole Swindell comes on and does a concert. And the video I have, we were up top on this this Zen Zone area, and it had 2 levels to it. So I went on top to the roof. I could look as far as I could each way, and there was just a sea of people. No one left the track. Everyone was hanging out. I don't know if all those people were in the infield camping, right, but if so, that's unbelievable. It felt like there was 50, 60,000 people there watching. So Saturday night was unbelievable. And then after that, it felt like the party ripped on even more on Saturday night, because Friday, while it was fun and we got to do all those things, it started raining at midnight. So I don't think that I don't know. I think that kind of deterred a little bit of the party scene that would
And
have
it was
existed.
cold.
It was cold and rainy. Yeah. So yeah, but point being, Saturday it wasn't either of those things, and people were going fucking hard. And back to the FDNY story, we met those guys, and I see, like I said, the FDNY shirts are very noticeable in a sea of like NASCAR merch. I see one of the guys we had met the night before just wheeling with like this old like Southern smoke show.
Yeah,
I was so happy.
Absolutely. Shout out to those guys. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Lee.
Yeah, what do you think of Saturday night?
Saturday was awesome. Absolutely perfect weather. You couldn't have had it any better. It was like 73 and sunny out. And we haven't really mentioned too much yet, but we were with Dana Beers.
Yeah.
And he like showed up where it's usually we have a bunch of stuff to do, which is like good. Obviously, like they give us all access to go everywhere. But Saturday it was just like, let's let the kids play.
Yeah.
And so like Dana Beers got there with a 24-pack that he just walked around with the whole day.
Yeah.
And was like, this is what I'm doing today.
Right.
And so we just chilled outside in the sun and just like walked around and just like was able to take everything in just like as we wanted to. And then the concert was incredible, and then the boardwalk
the Boulevard. Dana's
Boulevard
shirt just
incredible.
Progressively got more ripped, and he got like more sunburnt and disheveled with each warm beer that he pounded. It was incredible sight to see. I'm very much looking forward to watching whatever video comes out of Dana's Talladega trip.
I think we're going to go into Sunday next, obviously, and we'll talk about the Cup Series. But before we do that, the Xfinity Series on Saturday, where these guys, I was not there again, and we had said there was a spectacular crash. We can use words like spectacular because everybody walked out on their own power and everyone went to the hospital and all that stuff. But the Talladega Tumble that happened on Saturday's race is going to be extremely reused because it was so photogenic. So I think it'll be reused, particularly since there were no injuries. So, but the winner of that race, and for the first time in a super speedway race, it was a guy who won from the front, right? These guys from the front don't win. I got this wacky stat about the Cup Series, about where people started on like lap 190 versus how they had finished. So, but it was Jeb Burton, and Jeb Burton is just a great guy, and he drives for Jordan Anderson, is one of the co-owners that he drives for. And Jordan Anderson, I'll give you just a little bit, was in 2022 in October. He got into a fiery wreck in his truck at Talladega, and he jumped out of his truck while it was on fire. He was airlifted to the hospital by a helicopter. He's got second and third degree burns over so much of his body. The whole deal was an absolute, terrible scene for him and his family. And now as an owner, he stepped away from driving for a while. It looks like he'll probably be back to do something. Jeb Burton had driven, one of the two cars that they put into the Xfinity race on Saturday and came away with the win. So we're going to talk to both those guys right now. We're going to go 4 wide. We usually go 3 wide. We're going 4 wide today with Jeb Burton and Jordan Anderson.
4 wide, Talladega style.
Let's go. All right, as we said, we're going 4 wide today. We're lucky enough to have the winner of the AG Pro 300. He was driving the number 27 Chevy Camaro for Jordan Anderson Racing. That gentleman is Jeb Burton, and Jordan Anderson Racing is Jordan Anderson. So we got both these sons of bitches right in here at Rubbin is Racing. First of all, congratulations to both you guys. Specifically, you, Jordan, having actually 2 cars in the top 10. I know you guys had took P7 also. So just a great all-around day in Talladega. I'll start off with you, Jeb. It's the second win of your career. The first one was at Talladega, too. We spoke to Logano a couple of weeks ago, and we said, are there racetracks that are suited for you that we should be placing money every time Joey Logano steps on that racetrack? And he said, no, I win at every racetrack. What a fucking flex from Logano. So outside of the super speedways, which you have figured out, is there something where it's automatic that Jeb Burton should be on my card?
I've been on my boss man right there really hard. I feel like I can win anywhere, and I feel like our team can too. We're trying to get our race cars better and better every week. And from Daytona, the first speedway race we went to, our car wasn't capable of winning, and they went back and made the car a lot better for Talladega. So yes, I feel like the longer the season goes, the better our team will get. This weekend we're running for the $100,000, and I'm really good on concrete tracks, so I think we can go get it, man.
So you mentioned Talladega, the difference in the car versus what you had at Daytona, but let's say you had the same car. How would you describe the differences between Talladega and Daytona to maybe someone unfamiliar with NASCAR or someone watching for the first time?
Man, to be honest, Daytona is a lot more narrow or in the corners and the straightaway. Talladega, you got a lot more room. And Talladega is actually a little bit longer of a racetrack as well. So, but the racing style is pretty much the same. I enjoy Talladega a little bit more, but Daytona is really special to me and my family as well. Dad won the 500 there. My uncles won the 400. I really want to win there. I've been really close a bunch of different times. So we go back this summer. So I'm hoping we can get another win on another super speedway.
Jordan, we'll talk about some PTSD. October 1st, 2022 is not too long ago. So the last time you were at Talladega, you jumped out of a fiery truck and then you were airlifted out of the fucking place. How great of a turnaround story is that for you then to come back as an owner and be in, and take a victory? Talk to me about, getting back to almost the scene of the crime for all intents and purposes and then having it be like one of the highlights of your career.
I got to say, to be honest, it felt a lot better leading the track with Jeb holding that trophy than it did flying out in that helicopter.
Yeah, they say the best view at Talladega is from a helicopter.
The view was nice from what I remember. But, man, I tell you, like, we talk about, that's what I think makes sports in general so great and NASCAR so great is moments like this where you've got things like what happened at Talladega last year with that fire. I mean, this is kind of Jeb and I both, you look at our careers, we've really both have scrapped and clawed for everything we've got. Nothing's been given to us. We both have had to work for sponsorship and build our careers and our programs. And, we're just two guys at a fault for everything we got. So you look at what happened at Talladega last year, that was, most people have been like, to heck with NASCAR, I'm done, I'm getting out of it. And it was for me, I'm like, I'm going to double down. I feel like I've got a good team here. And it kind of made me step back and say, all right, I'm going to put pause on me racing. I want to give Jeb an opportunity to keep his career going. Parker Retzloff in the 31. Let's double down and take our team to 2 cars and let's go, make something happen. I wanted to we're all competitive with drivers in the sport. You sometimes can only do what your equipment's capable of doing. You can only have the best motors and the cars and all that stuff takes money. And I felt like we had a good opportunity to kind of hammer down this year with my partner, John Bomarito on the team. I said, he told me I was crazy at first to do 2 cars. He's like, man, that's too much to take on. It's going to hurt you more than it's going to help you. And I was like, I just, my gut told me taking Jeb and Parker was the right decision. And to leave Daytona with a 4th and a 7th, to come out of Talladega with a win and a 7th, Parker led the first lap, Jeb led the last, Jeb won the race, Parker won rookie of the race. Like you couldn't have asked for a better finish, but with it being 6 months removed from what happened there at Talladega with the fire, I mean, that was a month and a half, 2 months of recovery, getting through all that stuff and all that I put my wife through. And she was there at the track with me. My dad was there. I grew up with my dad traveling to races. I mean, we didn't come from a racing background, and we showed up at a go-kart race when I was 7 and somebody said our toe was out and we looked at our feet. Like we were completely lost. We didn't know anything about any of that stuff, and figuring out along the way has been pretty fun. And it was definitely you talk about NASCAR as a sport. You've got the Cup Series, you've got Xfinity, you've got Truck, then you've got thousands of guys that are out there racing on your local Saturday night short track or racing on dirt. That dream of being at this level, and a lot of people tell them, hey, you're never going to get there without the $1 million check, and we did it without that. And I think we proved to a lot of people that you can still hustle after your dreams to make this stuff happen. And so that was one for the underdogs this past weekend, and it was pretty humbling, but pretty cool to get a win at a place like Talladega.
What was that celebration like? I know obviously Jeb's a veteran at celebrating at Talladega, but Jordan, your first win for Jordan Anderson Racing. You said in your post-race interview, Jeb, a lot of beers were to be consumed. How do you celebrate at a place like Talladega? Were you in the infield? Did you go outside? How are you guys celebrating?
It was haul ass to the airplane and get home. That's what it was. I had some buddies waiting on me, and every time I land, I live in Virginia, so when we land on the team plane, I've got another 2-hour drive. So that was unfortunate, but I got home and had a big crowd waiting on me, and we watched the sun come up, and then I think Jordan had the whole team to his house and watched the sun come up. So we've been a little dehydrated this week, but we're getting back to in the swing of things. We had a heck of a time yesterday at the shop, seeing all the families of all the crew members and everybody that makes it happen at the shop, and that was really special to be around them and their families. And now this week we get to go run for $100,000, man. It's really surreal. Just my career has been so up and down. Jordan's has too. It's just, man, it's tough. And for us to get that done was pretty badass.
It's a feel-good story with a very heavy trophy. Like you said, you're going to hop in a hot tub with that thing. I mean, that thing looks like it's fucking 300 pounds. That would have been tragedy, to be honest with you.
I don't know if the trophy's got a little rust on. I don't know if it's from the hot tub or from all the beer that got dumped on it. You know?
Exactly. Let's take the room down for a sec. You said you were in a dark place last year where you lost 10 pounds. I could actually stand to be in that dark place if we're being 100% honest. I could be there 5 times and nobody would notice. You went through a messy divorce. I cover boxing here at Barstool also. Women take your legs. It's what boxers say all the time. Do you agree with that? Do women take your legs? And how do you think Larry McReynolds' daughter would feel about that also?
I don't think I have a comment for that.
I don't
what do you think, Jordan?
I don't blame you. Listen, we're rolling into Dover, and you said that you're in that dash for cash with 3 other drivers, and it looks like you got your work cut out for you. Can you give us a preview of Dover? It's something that we were going to do on the show, but you guys will do a hell of a lot better job for us.
Man, Dover is a badass racetrack. You got to pump them up to go to that place. It's you're hauling the mail around there, and I feel like with the high loads, I feel like it's kind of an equalizer a little bit, and will help our team. We had some good stem sessions and working on our setups, and I feel like we should be pretty decent this weekend. We're definitely racing against some guys that have got a lot more resources than we do. We do not have an alliance with any team, and what that means is getting resources from big cup teams, and the guys we're racing against for the money are getting all of that. So that's free speed. So we've got our work cut out for us, but we're working really hard. My guys are a lot of fun to work with, and I feel like we got a shot. I feel like it's going to be a good race. I feel like, last year I was not in the best car that I'm in right now, and we ran about 15th. So I'm thinking we'll be inside the top 10 this week and have a shot to get the money, man.
One last question before we let you go. Obviously a busy week following a win for you, but you've somehow joining us from the car of a charity event. Tell us about that. What is the efforts like with that following your win?
Man, it's been a whirlwind. I appreciate you asking about that. I'm actually at South Boston Speedway, and I'll show you this because I think it's pretty cool. God's Pit Crew does amazing work, but this is where I started my racing career, and up there my dad's name and my uncle's names on the grandstands. So I'm hoping one day maybe I can be up there with them. But it's just really special to be here giving charity rides. They're a great organization, and it's kind of surreal. I started my racing career here and just won Talladega the other day. So I was racing here when I was 15, and I'm 30 now, so I'm getting old.
Yeah, you look terrible. All right, so what I had said, if you don't root for these guys, then you're not a good American. You're not a good human.
You don't like
the
underdog
you're certainly
story.
not a good NASCAR fan. It's an absolute fucking pleasure to speak to you, Jeb, and you as well, Jordan. Thank you so much for taking the time. Wish you the best of luck the rest of the season.
Thanks, guys.
I appreciate it. One last thing. The next time I'm in Phoenix, I'm coming to that damn party.
Let's go. We'll see you at the Barstool Scottsdale bar, Jeb.
Come tag along.
I will add Jeb and Jordan's name to the guest list now for the championship weekend in Phoenix.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Thank you, guys. Congrats.
Later.
See you, boys. All right, so that's Jeb Burton and Jordan Anderson, 2 great guys. And like I had said, if you don't root for those guys, I don't want to root for you. Right. Let's get to Sunday. Sunday was another day. Like going to Talladega, bring some vitamins. Right. So first thing we did on Sunday was we had a party with
Old Row.
Yeah, Old Row. Shout out to those dudes. Those guys look very, very unassuming. Like you don't know that they're about to go up on stage and start drinking out of a boot or lighting a Bud Light T-shirt on fire while, I don't know, Willie Nelson is playing in the background. And Slim McGraw, the DJ, is 100% the guy to get the party started. Matroda did a great job. I think Slim McGraw is a little bit less expensive than Matroda, who I saw on Saturday. Slim McGraw killed it, and we had a good time with the old road guys.
I would pay Matroda prices for Slim McGraw.
Yeah,
honestly, if he DJ'd at that after the Cole Swindell show, I think that place would have fucking erupted.
Crazy, and exactly what you need. You know, like he played everything. People didn't stop singing the whole time.
It was the perfect
One person
mix.
never stopped dancing.
It was a perfect mix of like country, but like dance, southern vibe.
I had bought a Slingshot, one of those ones that's like a rubber bag in the side of thing. And I'm telling you, I put a metal BB in this that could send it through a wall. But the only time he ever stopped dancing is when I shot Spider in the head with it, with a foam ball. It's the only time he took a break.
With a metal ball.
I will tell you right now, the highlight of the weekend for me, listen, spending time with your son at especially like, 18-year-old kid who can have some fun with you and whatnot, the highlight, having some time with and you guys all enjoyed Mick, right? I mean, Mick
absolutely.
is a great guy. The Garage Girls objectified him a little bit at the haulers by making him try on some stuff for them. Like I was like, all right, easy girls. But it was other than that, it was absolutely pristine. And by the way, shout out again to Morgan Raquel. What a fucking job they did for us. And that guy who was cooking for us all goddamn weekend.
Chef Jason.
Jesus Christ, it was just all around a great thing. But the absolute highlight for me, perhaps for all of NASCAR so far, was our trip on the big rig. Do you agree with that? Or
The big rig was
overstating it?
unbelievable.
Okay.
I mean,
What is the big rig?
The big rig is like, it's the best tradition in sports, in my opinion. It's a big semi-truck that pulls a giant American flag around Talladega seconds before the race is about to start. The flyover happens like seconds after. It's just the most patriotic Talladega NASCAR. Nothing is like the epitome of what it's all about, like the big rig.
So they said, why don't you guys go in it? And so we're like, cool. And so myself, my son, Liam, Spider, Dana Beers, we jumped on the big rig with Kay, older lady who is the owner of the big rig's husband, whatever. And then the driver who is Big J.
Johnny Ray,
Big Johnny Ray, who said we're going to do somewhere between 100 and 110 miles an hour. We got going on this thing. They told us to hold on. When he hit the first turn, Liam smashed his face on his camera, and Spider smashed his head on one of the cabinets.
Yep.
And as we're going by with a 100-foot flag going behind us, people are I think it's rude to salute when you haven't served, but people are saluting, clapping for this big rig, so clapping for us. And we were on the crowd side, so we could see like people just going crazy. I felt so American, so I almost went home and paid my taxes. It was awesome. So we missed the flyover. We could hear it going over the big rig. We missed whoever did the Start Your Engines. We missed the national anthem because we're in the truck at the time. No regrets at all. That was awesome. So thank you to NASCAR for putting that together for us too. And then we went right down to the pits for the beginning of the race. When we got to Austin Dillon's pit, we ran into our boy Swanee, Paul Swan. He introduced me and my son to Mike Dillon, Austin Dillon's dad, who was also a driver. Mike Dillon took my son down into the pits, where he probably shouldn't have been while the race was going on, to show Mick around. So Dillon family is aces with us.
Continue to be great to us.
Yeah. We didn't get a great vantage point during the race because we chose to drink at the RV.
How about I gotta tell the MJ story?
Yeah.
I'll go. Oh yeah. Fuck shit.
So
sorry about that.
We see my guy Jordan Page, who is a pit crew guy for Bubba Wallace. And I go up to him and I'm like, hey Jordan. And we did a quick social clip with him or something for a vlog. I forget what it was, but whatever it was, I kept saying his name 5 times in a matter of 30 seconds. I was like, I'm here with Jordan, who's a tire changer. Jordan does this for Bubba Wallace, owned by Michael Jordan. And then we walk away, and then 5 minutes later, I find out that it was just Michael Jordan sitting right above us on the pit stand with Jordan Page underneath.
Caught him.
I was watching as Spider was talking, and MJ to get a better view, he must have told the guy, tapped him and was give me that seat. And I watched him step over and sit on the edge, and I'm just looking as I'm filming Spider. I was like, that's fucking
MJ.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It was 10 feet away from
You're in a
him.
NASCAR race.
Yeah, it was
Great
pretty
to
cool.
have the boss there. Always good to, think it's good for business when he's at the track.
I think so too. Like, you could, run down and maybe see Mayweather and Brad Daugherty and Michael Jordan and all these guys.
Pitbull.
I'm going to mention that in a little bit too. Pitbull was all over it. Towards the end of the race, we were watching from our RV and then from an elevated point. That's when I'm bringing up our guys, the Garage Guys. Garage Guys is a weekly podcast. They do a great job. And it's Dale and it's Chase and it's this guy, Tony, who's their producer I'd never met before. Tony's a sweetheart of a dude. Like I had said, Chase had gone home, so it was just Dale and Tony. And Dale and I had a lot of the same drivers. We had Blaney and Bubba and Brad Kay. So we had a lot on the same ticket. And when we were up at the back, like, that's a guy who lives and dies with his bets. So he was like, come on, Lodge, get emotional with me. And I'm like, all right, I can't possibly. I didn't want to get him down because I knew we were going to get fucking heartbroken, and we certainly did. But shout out to those guys. They're always a plus when we see them in any racing situation.
No, they're fantastic.
Especially Tony. He's like a stoolie, so he was in his fucking glory, and I was happy for the kid. He seems like a real decent dude.
They're both great, and great to have him there as the finish. I don't know. I mean, I had a couple questions on what I was watching, especially from that perspective. So to have them
He's
there,
all over it.
Yeah, those guys knew exactly what the fuck happened.
Chase Elliott wins the first stage, almost wins the second, which is almost unheard of at Talladega. So Chase Elliott seems back. Briscoe finishes fourth in the race. He'd spun out early on pit row. It was kind of wild to watch. Once again, Briscoe is continuing to impress us week by week. It came down to, Blaney and Bubba, at P1, P2, and Blaney tried to pass 3 times and then finally clips Bubba, sends him into the wall, and Kyle Busch jets ahead for the photo finish.
Did he clip Bubba? Or did Bubba try to throw a crazy block?
Well, that's the whole deal. I misspoke. You're absolutely right, because Bubba had said afterwards he took 100% responsibility for it.
I think Bubba and Blaney are very good friends too. I think so. I mean, I like to think that they would be working together there. But yeah, Bubba and even Noah Gregson. I say again, 2 guys I thought pretty juicy odds late in the race that looked pretty good on our card. So unfortunately, we didn't win much. If you rode with Spider, but
we didn't have Busch. Busch led only 3 laps the whole race. He decided to stay on the track and not go in for fuel. And afterwards, he said he wouldn't have been so daring with stretching fuel if he hadn't already earned a victory this season at Fontana. That's a pretty cool little flex.
Yeah.
Which we said when we had spoke to Kyle, he'd said that it puts him in a position where he can make more aggressive choices like this, and it worked out because he gets 2 wins in the new car.
No fuel to celebrate.
Didn't do the burnout. Didn't have enough fuel.
I feel like recently all the winners. I mean, even Jeb Burton, he blew a tranny with. I heard that. He blew a transmission.
Okay.
Excuse me, and he wasn't able to celebrate, like burn him down or anything.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of recent winners, Zane Smith's car's up in flames. Like, how many of these guys aren't able to celebrate?
I think Ricky couldn't either at the Daytona 500. Ricky was out of gas.
There's definitely been more that I'm forgetting to mention.
This is what's the best about, and there are problems with super speedway racing for some people, but this is the best thing about it. No matter who you have on your car, at some point they were leading in the race. There are 57 different lead changes, the most at Talladega since 2011. So at some point, Ty Gibbs was P1. He ran a great race again, Ty Gibbs, I thought. Except
he looked great.
To the end.
The young guys looked fucking
Bucks
phenomenal.
Looked great. So it was just a great race to watch. It was a great race to bet on, even when you didn't have the guy. It was like one of those heartbreak things. And seeing Dale just absolutely get gutted, I almost felt bad for the dude.
Yeah.
Ratings for it. I know we don't talk about ratings too much anymore, but they were up. That's what I'm going to say. The Nielsen ratings from last year were a little bit tweaked. At least that's what NASCAR had said. So viewership for Dega was actually up year over year. That's a great thing to see. You had mentioned Pitbull. I had read this. Grammy Award winning, this is a headline. Grammy Award winning Pitbull will release his 12th internationally distributed album on July 7th. Name of the album is going to be Trackhouse.
Love it.
That's pretty cool, man.
Love it.
Yeah, it's going to have bilingual songs on it, including Me Pone Mal, I don't know, and Jumpin' with Little John. Yeah. So Pitbull's thrown out a Trackhouse album. Yeah, it is what it is. And then congrats to Kevin Harvick, who made his 800th NASCAR Cup Series start on Sunday. So he's just the 10th driver to do it.
Congrats to Carl Edwards, who was named top 75 NASCAR drivers.
Yeah.
I know he and NASCAR kind of have a tumultuous history, but I think it's good to see him being acknowledged.
Yeah.
And
They said he turned it down, but that's not true.
I mean, it seems as though he's accepting and appreciative of the offer. So
Yeah.
I think it's great all around. Let's bring Carl Edwards back.
I'm going to do a tiny little twisted history thing because when we were on the boulevard, a guy named Kirkland told me about. I was so surprised at the big rig, how we just kind of walked up onto it and then got on the thing and did it.
Yep.
There wasn't a ton of security around us. Some guy, Kirkland, on the boulevard, we were drunk. He told me about a time where a guy stole a pace car. It was 1986 at the Winston 500. Bobby Allison, driving a 1986 Buick Regal. I like saying that out loud. Held off a last lap pass on the third turn by Dale Earnhardt to win by 0.2 seconds in front of 130,000 people. 133,000 people. And it was covered on ESPN. If you YouTube the shit out of this, it's actually pretty cool to watch. The 1986 Winston 500. Before the race, some random dude, this 20-year-old guy named Darren Crowder, he came down to Lincoln, Alabama, to buy a used motorcycle. So he takes the motorcycle out for a test drive. Lincoln's, near Talladega. He gets locked in traffic around Talladega. He's like, fuck it, I'll go to the race. Nobody stops him. He doesn't even have a shirt on. Nobody stops him, so he goes right down into the infield without having to show an infield pass or anything. And he's hanging out in the infield about to watch this race. And he looks, and he jumps 2 quick fences, and he jumps into a pace car that has the keys in it. So this guy starts up the pace car, takes off onto the course. Have you guys seen this thing?
Yeah.
So he takes off onto the course. He gets up to like 110 miles an hour, does a complete lap before anybody notices it. And so then they call the cops that are there. They send 2 squad cars and 2 motorcycles onto the actual track. And then they set up a fucking roadblock at the end. And so the guy then stops at the roadblock. I don't know what else he was going to do. Although he almost ran somebody over when he was first fired up the pace car. Like, we're sitting there, so he stopped at the roadblock. And the cops roughed him up on the way out. But ESPN, God bless them, never took the fucking camera off, so the announcers were announcing it the whole time. It was peak NASCAR, peak 1986, because 133,000 people were screaming for this guy, like just loving the fact that this, no shirt dude who's buying a used motorcycle had stopped the Winston Cup 500. So shout out to him. I attached the clip. Maybe we can get it up on the YouTube thing. But we're going to wrap up Talladega right now. We're going to wrap it up with the over-under with Spider.
I'll keep it quick this week.
Sure.
Brad Kay was very impressed with him and his teammate Chris Buescher. Both finished within the top 5. Chase Briscoe again, finishes 4th. Looked really good this week. Broken fingers, still coming back, and been over-delivering. I think he's had like 3 or 4 top 5 finishes in as many weeks. So really impressed with the way he's been driving recently. Todd Gilliland gets a top 10 finish. I think he did great. And then also I got to talk about my Legacy Motor Club guys. Eric Jones finishes 6th. But most importantly, Noah Gragson, I think he looked like he could have fucking won this race late. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. But was really impressed with both of them this week. So underperformers, I'm just going to say maybe Bubba Wallace, because I don't like the fact that he tried to block 2 guys like that. He had a great car, and I think he could have won the race. Mm-hmm. And honestly, at that point, he was probably one of my only drivers remaining. So maybe I'm just being a little hard on him. But I think it was a fucking crazy move to try to pull that off. I understand it's kind of a necessary evil to set a block here and there at a super speedway track, but I don't think that was the way to do it.
Yeah, fair enough. It's tough to judge it. I looked at this stat NASCAR put up. It's called the Talladega Shuffle, and they've shown everyone's position on lap 190 for the final restart. Like, the guy who started first, Ryan Blaney, came in second, but broke my heart, right, because I had Ryan Blaney. But otherwise, everybody else was like in the double digits. Gragson went from 2nd to 32nd. Amarola went from 3rd to 22nd. Chastain went from 4th to 23rd. So there's a lot of movement in that last lap.
The finishing position is not always like...
It doesn't tell the story.
Yeah, at all.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. All right, so with that, we're going to go into Dover. And again, preview of Dover brought to you by NASCAR, which is sponsor of this podcast. It's the Worth with umlauts over the U. The Worth 400 from the Monster Mile in Dover Motor Speedway. So it's a mile track, so it's going to be 400 laps, as you would know. 3 stages going to be after 120, 250, and then 400 for the final. So it's coming to you guys on Sunday. It's going to start at 2 o'clock, not 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock Eastern, Sunday, April 30th on FS1. So tune into the Worth 400 NASCAR Cup Series race at Dover Motor Speedway this Sunday, April 30th on FS1. And as you know, NASCAR is doing a shitload that's new and exciting this year, including Chicago, which seems like it's getting right around the corner. I'd seen a headline that Chicago is shutting down roads on June 2nd for the July 2nd race. So they're going to be doing a lot up there, and we're going to be covering it just about every week. So with that, we'll go into Picking the Tires. Picking the Tires brought to you by Barstool Sportsbook. Sign up today, Barstool Sportsbook. We get the earliest lines out there in NASCAR. Talking to the garage guys again. Last time I shout those guys out, they said that we're as competitive, or no, I think they said we're the best lines that are out there. And if they didn't say it, I hope they swear to it when they hear that I said that they said it. So sign up for the Barstool Sportsbook. If nothing else, we're the first to market with some of these NASCAR lines. So if you're betting NASCAR and you're not doing it through the Barstool Sportsbook, you're doing yourself a disservice, and I mean it. All right, Picking the Tires. We got 3 guys doing it today. Quiggs is in the house. Libero Quiggs is in the house, and he's gonna go first.
All right, so for me, I'm going pretty. My picks are based off just who historically does best at this track.
Okay.
And I think I'm taking the 3 guys with the most wins ever. So I'm going Busch plus 1,600, which I love.
Plus 1,600.
He's like
Juicy.
he has the most wins all time of active drivers here with 3. He's got a ton of top 5, a ton of top 10, and he's obviously got a good car now.
Yeah.
Like he just won a
And
race.
he's willing to take chances.
And he's plus 1,600.
Yeah.
So taking him, I'm taking Truex and Harvick at plus 1,100. Both guys who have had a ton of success and just feels like they could win here. And then I'm taking Suarez top 10. He's, I think, raced here 10 times, finished in the top 10 5 times, and I feel like he's got the best car he's ever had. And it's plus 165. Okay. So those are my picks.
I love all 3 of Quiggs' picks. Damn. I kind of want to just steal your card.
Take my card.
I probably honestly will sprinkle your 3 outright winners, but I'm going to give you 2 outright winners as well. And both those guys race for the same team, which is Hendrick Motorsport. A little chalky this week, but I think Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott have really good chance to win. Kyle Larson's stats at this fucking racetrack are unbelievable. His average finish over 14 wins here is 6.9. In that time, he's got 11 top 10s, 7 top 5s. I like Kyle Larson plus 600 to win the fucking thing. Chase Elliott, hear me out. He's a great driver. He's one of the best, and I think the urgency is there now for him to win, and I think he certainly has the equipment as proven by the success of his teammates previously this year. I think that he's another guy that's had unbelievable success here. Let me pull up the stats here. Chase Elliott in 12 races at Dover has 9 top 10s, 9 top 5s. Like, come on. So those
9 top 5s in 12 races.
According to
I believe it.
driveraverages.com, in 12 races here, Chase Elliott has 9 top 5s, 9 top
Holy
10s,
shit.
and 2 wins with an average finishing position of 9.8. So I'm going to take both Kyle and Chase Elliott, who have an average finishing position under 10. 2 of the best guys at this track, in my opinion. I think Hendrick looks strong. If you don't want to take those guys outright and you want something more juicy, ride with Quiggs and maybe take my guys as an insurance policy. Maybe you can take Hendrick plus 160 on the Barstool Sportsbook. You can take Chevy minus 105 if you think it's one of my 2 drivers or Kyle Busch. You can take the under 9.5, which is plus 143, in which you would get my 2 drivers and Kyle Busch again, as well as several other drivers. Or if you just like my guys and Truex, you can take an odd car minus 120, minus 124 on the Barstool Sportsbook. I'm going to stick with just Larson outright and just Elliott outright plus 600 and plus 800 respectively.
I may take. Sorry, I was on my phone there. I was looking to see what Elliott top 5 was.
What is it?
Plus 125.
I
I
think
mean,
that's
and I'm guessing from that average finishing position, the races that he didn't get a top 5. He
That's
must have
such a
just
fact. Not finished.
wrecked out or had
Yeah.
car issues.
Yeah.
Seems like if he's racing clean, he's finishing at the top
I was trying
5.
to do the averages like in my head there to get him out to 9.
Yeah.
So yeah, I must have had a bunch of different
So I
finishes.
think I'll add that. I probably won't take him to win it just because it goes against my other picks, but I like that top 5.
Well, I usually do a chalky pick, and I'm taking Chris Bell plus 900. That's just a chalk pick. It's probably one that we're going to boost along with maybe Larson on the Barstool
I mean,
Sportsbook.
if your
but stay
chalky
tuned for
pick
that.
is plus 900, I'm super chalky.
No, I mean, but I think anything around. But if you look at the odds, I think around 900 is pretty chalky for this race. I don't know why, but I do know why. Ryan Preece has been in the mix past couple weeks. We saw that wreck where he, basically T-boned.
Gnarly wreck.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely
glad
gnarly
both
wreck.
are all right.
Yeah, and I'm so surprised he is because that, they said if Larson had spun the other way and he hit him on driver's side, that would have been a lot worse, obviously, for Larson. I'm not sure if that's true because I think they do bump up the driver's side door, construction more than they would because he killed the absolute passenger side door on the 5. So, but Preece, I think I've been watching him do pretty well the past couple of weeks. So I'm going to take Ryan Preece top 10. I think Ryan Preece
Love
top
it.
10. It's plus 190. So I'm almost 2-1 on that.
You know I'm a big Priest fan.
Yeah, I don't mind that bet. So Bell is chalky. Ryan Preece plus 190 for a top 10. I've been watching, and you'd mentioned it, how Brad Kay and Chris Buescher. I had Brad Kay, and listen, he did not have a great first 2 stages, but when it came down to it in Talladega, all of a sudden Brad Kay was right in the mix, and I thought I had a real opportunity to win the race with him. It seems like he does that quite a bit. So I was like, I like the way that Buescher and I like the way that Brad Kay are both racing lately. They're both plus 3,300. I don't think I want them to win necessarily. I mean, maybe. So then I said, oh, well, let me take then RFK Racing, right? Kind of condense it. And it actually pays a little bit less. It pays plus 1,600. And I know these are big, payouts, but I wasn't in love with that either. So instead, I think I'm just going to take a Ford to win. I'm going to take a Ford to win because then I'll get Brad Kay, I'll get, Chris Buescher, the 2 guys that I liked.
Plus
I'll still
270.
and I'll still get Blaney, Harvick, Logano, Preece, Amarola, Briscoe. I'll get the whole Ford boys. So I think, I get Ford plus 270. So I'm going to go Ford plus 270. I'm going to go Preece top 10 at plus 190, and my chalk is Chris Bell plus 900. That's it. Anybody else have anything else to say except that the 3 of us are all wearing Barstool Sports Rubbin is Racing NASCAR plus Barstool sweatshirt, hoodies, the most comfortable hoodie that I own. I wore it this weekend down at the track. I'm assuming sales are about to go through the fucking roof because I looked great in it. And you go to the Barstool Sports store, you search NASCAR, you'll see this. Go pick one up. It actually helps us out because we want to make some disrespectful stuff as the season goes on. Anything else we want to say?
Yeah, I just want to say I've been told we've getting a majority of our audience by way of just audio. So if you guys want to see what's going on in the studio, check out our YouTube page. We have some exclusive interviews and content there as well. Rubbin is Racing. Subscribe and like the video if you are already watching on YouTube. But appreciate all the support. Nonetheless, enjoy the race at Dover.
And we do have that video coming out this week. So we're going to have a vlog, right, from Talladega at some point? Sure. Yeah, so Liam's hard at that because I know he doesn't remember any of it because he was bombed. I'm just joking. So we're going to have yeah, I shouldn't throw stones. And by the way, I had Taco Bell for the first time in a long time. I could have shit through a fucking keyhole. That stuff was terrible.
You know they got rid of the quesarito?
No way.
Yes.
Really?
Also, I might as well just say
bullshit.
I might as well just say Long John Silver's quick because I feel like we mentioned every other fast food chain on this episode. So
really
I think we
did.
just hit all the bases.
Yeah,
I think that's all we got.
Yeah, but Wendy's is our favorite.
Yes.
Square patties, surround daddies. Alrighty, guys, that's Rubbin is Racing. I know we went a little long this time. Tough shit. See you guys next week.
Bring back the quesarito.